All right, welcome to Moviri Talks Performance. It's a series of interviews, conversations, right, that are all about what we do. We hope that you are finding this series enlightening and entertaining and useful in a way. My name is Andrea Vasco. I'm manager of US operations here in Moviri US in the Boston office, and we have with us Mr. Ben Davis,
yes,
senior engineer here in Moviri as well, and former customer of ours. Ben's background starts in the Navy, 10 years in the Navy, right?
Yeah, good time.
Where you were a cook and an hotel manager. Then you transitioned another 10 years in security and auditing. Is that right?
Yeah, it was a good time too.
Yeah, okay. And last but not least, right, before joining Moviri, you spent essentially 10 years working as a capacity manager. Is that right?
Yes, and also a good time.
Yeah, all right. Good to hear. So, Ben, the topic for today's discussion is one of my favorite topics ever since you presented your views in 2015, I guess, at the BMC event, and then last year at the Engage. Is the presentation that you made about chargeback. I'll let you then explain, right? But some of the presentation were really too specific. Some of them are more strategic. But I would like to stick today just with the concept of chargeback. And let me start with my favorite quote about the topic, which is the concept also of the useful, consistent lie.
That was a very liberating thought, yes.
All right, yes. So what can you tell us about chargeback?
Well, so let's start with chargeback is dead easy. It's simple. It's simple, right? What is your recovery target? How much do you want to end up with at the end? What things do you have to achieve that recovery target? And then do the math, right? So if you have $1 million you wish to recover, and you have 100 servers that you're going to sell to recover that, that's $10,000 a year. There you go. Chargeback is done, right? You want to charge it by the month, it's $833.33. Simple math.
Yeah.
Okay? It's done. The hard part is the politics, right? Because you're creating chaos, you're making changes in people's environment. People don't like change. So it's the change that is the problem. It's the politics that's the problem. Chargeback is dead simple.
I guess it's the concept of inertia in a way, right?
Yeah. Well, people are adverse to a change, right? So the status quo is an emotional spot, and emotions are immune to logic and facts.
So in a way, you are suggesting that chargeback is not really sort of science because, as you said, it's easy, right? It's more a journey in redesigning how an organization works.
Right. So people think chargeback has everything to do with finance, right? Oh, we need to do chargeback so that we can get this money into an account or something. And chargeback has nothing whatever to do with finance. Yes, you use dollar signs, but it's nothing to do with finance. It has everything to do with changing behavior. Right. So in the beginning, people said, "I need your group to pay its fair share of whatever," and we counted people. All right. There you go. So with that is the only lever to pull. If you're too expensive, your only option is to take a person. Right. So chargeback can give you enough levers. If you can give enough levers, then the audience you're trying to change will now be able to make a better for them financial decision, which is a better for the company decision. So if all you're charging is on servers, your only choice is to add or subtract servers. If you can split that out to Windows or Linux or AIX or whatever, then you can change the prices, and you can make now a better choice as a manager to see which equipment helps you achieve your goal. And you'll make those choices. If I can add CPU size or memory or disk, those are more levers for you to pull, and it's still straight math, right? Still $1 million to come. I have servers, I have disk, I have memory. Server price is no longer $10,000 a year. It's much lower because that same $1 million is going to come from disk and from memory or whatever else you can have. So now, as a manager with those choices, you can get a smaller server with more RAM and achieve your mission, and a different manager might take a larger server with more disk to achieve his goal. And you still recover $1 million, but now people are getting the right size equipment, and they have some control over their expense.
This ties back to one of the biggest pushback that we always get also from customers, right? Which is why IT has to be so expensive. That was your experience as well, or?
Yeah, so people don't like how expensive IT is, and what happened, in my estimation, what happened is all these services that were being in these little buckets around the business got moved to IT by accident, right? So imagine what a typical desk looked like in the 80s, right? What'd you have on your desk? You had your dictionary and your thesaurus and your calendar and your Rolodex and your pictures and your, right? All that junk was on your desk, right? And then you got an email software, and that took care of your calendar. Well, there you go. So now the money that went to pay for the calendar, the paper calendar that was on everybody's desk, and the people that were paid then to coordinate calendars, all of that got taken out of the business budget and is part of now the email piece. But it wasn't seen that way. It was just, oh, here's some email software on another server or two. But then your Rolodex ended up being incorporated into that. Rolodexes were super expensive, right? Piece of paper, they were typed by a secretary pool or whatever, super expensive. Business dropped that expense and it was just absorbed into IT. And now repeat that with all the stuff that was on your desk that now is on your laptop. All your pictures, your dictionary, the thesaurus, your research papers, your, Robert's Rules of Order, your, Chicago style. It's all now going through your desk or your laptop, and it's got taken off of your desktop. So the business saved all of that. IT just absorbed it, and nobody noticed. So there's a visual of this. Now let me get this right. So it's desk-evolution.jpg. And what it shows is a time lapse of things getting taken off the desk and putting onto your machine. And every time that happens in the thing, don't think, oh, that was interesting technology. Think that is a huge budget line item that was taken out of the business and put into IT. And it was done through essentially add-ons to software. I wanted email. I got rid of my Rolodex. I got email and I got a scheduling program. Right. So, and anyway, that's why IT is so expensive. It's doing so much more than people remember. Even if you go back to the 80s, you can visualize this on that.
So, Ben, I guess everything you share with us is absolutely fascinating and it makes a lot of sense. It's very enlightening. But I guess everybody would ask, okay, what were the effects that you triggered the moment that you implemented Chargeback?
So the things that we did, some things we did wrong. The thing we did wrong is we tried to justify our prices with the technicians. Okay. And that's a mistake. So here's the deal, is I have a server and I decided to charge $10,000 because I need to recover $1 million and I have 100 of things. Right? So I go to the techs and I says, this is what I'm going to do. And they blew a gasket because they know that server costs $1,000. Mm-hmm. And there's no way can you charge $10,000 for that. And they created resistance and then drummed up resistance, and that's silly. What we should have realized is what we charge for the line item has nothing whatever to do what it costs to produce. Those are completely separate conversations, right? So including technical people on your pricing is a mistake because they're not related conversations. Right. The other thing we did is we tried to show that this is what we're going to charge you, but we said this is what it costs for you to consume. Don't use the word cost. This is what the charge is for this item. If you have a conversation about what it costs, that's the wrong conversation. What it costs to produce is different than what you're going to charge to have it. So we sold it as a useful, consistent lie. Useful, consistent lies are everywhere. Okay? Case in point, what time is it right now? Whatever you have in your head, right? Lunchtime, just before lunch, afternoon, work day, right? It's wrong. If you want the most correct answer, because people say, oh, I can't stand a lie, I need the correct answer. If you want to know what time it is, then you should talk to a physicist and set aside a weekend, right? Because the exactly correct answer is that complicated. And the useful, consistent lie helps the conversation that you're in, and an exact answer is not the point, right? Useful, consistent lie. Another example is, where are you right now, right? So you say, oh, well, and you might give an address. Well, that's not where you are, right? Even if you did GPS, now you have to do height, elevation, and then you have to decide, well, do you mean at the top of my head, right? Because the exact correct answer is pointless. So a useful, consistent lie of where you are is whatever fits within the conversation to answer close enough. And that's what your chargeback is. This is what we're going to charge so that we can meet our recovery target. It's a useful, consistent lie. It's a proxy for what the truth of what it costs is.
Would you also agree that, chargeback, you are introducing us to a sort of philosophical vision of chargeback, but it's also important because the moment that you start paying for something, it's when you assign some importance to that very same thing that you're paying for.
Right. So right now, without chargeback, your customer is saying, I wish this, I need it for the business, so you will provide it. And I have nothing else to do with that conversation, so give it up. If you can put a chargeback conversation a part of that, you just say, fine, I can provide you with whatever you want that you're willing to pay for. So here's a couple choices in servers, and here's some configuration options that will increase or decrease your cost. And now you're in a position where you can say, well, give me the best of everything. You want to pay for it? Good on you. Here's the best of everything. When you realize that that's too expensive, your chargeback model allows that manager to now start pulling some levers and say, I don't need 100 servers. I need 20 servers, and I don't need all of my disk mirrored and backed up and offsite and on solid state disk. I can take my dev stuff and put it on tape, and I can take my other things and put it on physical drives. Anyway, so you get to make those choices. So if you have a few levers to pull, it's very liberating to your decision makers because now they can actually make decisions. Now, you don't want to go overboard. You don't want 100 styles of servers. You want a few, right? So there's a concept of choice paralysis, right? If you have 100 choices, you'll likely not make a choice and leave, right?
There are also a few studies about this, right? The number of choices that we have nowadays is essentially killing us in a way. However, I would also ask you, so I guess everybody understands the value of doing chargeback, but how long did it take you to implement chargeback?
Well, so if you go from the very, very beginning, it took a very long time because we had to gather the cost of stuff and we had to figure out what we could inventory. So if you can't inventory a complete subset, then you're not going to have very good results. So, for example, I can count the phones for my salesman. That's something you can put in your chargeback. You don't need to be able to count all phones, but you do need to count it for a community. All right, I can count all my production servers. There you go. That's good enough. You can sell production servers. So you need an inventory of the things you're going to sell. Then you create a price, and the price is not predicated on what it actually costs to produce. It's predicated on what is my recovery target divided by the things that I'm likely to, the things to sell times the number of things that there are. So in my original model, $1 million, 100 servers, do the math, that's $1,000 or $10,000 a year for a server.
Yeah. All right. Well, Ben, I guess we're running out of time, but before we leave, just leave us some key takeaway, something that we can forget about all this whole conversation, but we don't have to forget about what?
So just do it, right? So chargeback is dead simple, just do it. It is an iterative process, so start with servers and then expand your choices to the point that it's helpful, right? And no further, right? The price that you put on it for your chargeback has nothing whatever to do with your cost to produce. So those are separate conversations. Don't mix those up. And just get started. Know that your price is a useful, consistent lie. That's my favorite, right? That's the favorite part of that.
All right, man. Thank you so much for today. And I mean, if you like this conversation, we're gonna have another few, right, on our channel, and we will put some pointers on where we can. It's possible to download the white paper around the presentation that we made, right?
Yep.
CMG. And I mean, thank you for your time today, Ben. Thank you so much.
There you go. Thanks. Glad to be helped.